Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Claudia Works. If you're new here, welcome. And on today's video, we are diving deep into the Atlantic slave trade, its hidden horrors, untold stories, and the global systems of oppression that remain overshadowed in our textbooks. What school never taught you all has might change how you see the world forever. So if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed, please do so. It's free. So you have probably heard that the Europeans discovered Africa and started the slave trade. But that's not the whole story. Long before the Europeans arrived, African kingdoms like Ghana, Mali, and Sogai were thriving, but with complex societies, trade networks, and governance. What school don't emphasize is how some African elites were coerced, or in some cases, complicity in early exchanges with European traders. But make no mistake, this was not an equal partnership. Europeans exploited rivalries between the kingdoms, fueling wars to capture the prisoners who were sold into slavery. And this manipulation laid the foundation for what would become a massive industrialized system of human trafficking. And over 12.5 million Africans were forcibly removed from their homes. But this number does not tell the full story. Millions more died in raids, enduring forced marches to the coast, or in holding forts before ever boarding a ship. The infamous Middle Passage claimed another 2 million lives as enslaved people were endured weeks in cramped, disease-ridden conditions. And also, let's not forget about the staggering profits. It's estimated that the slave trade generated trillions in today's currency for the European nations. And these profits fueled industrial revolutions, built cities, and also created generational wealth. And remember, this wealth excluded the very people who were exploited to create it. And guys, here is something your history class likely closed over. Enslaved Africans did not just accept their fate. From ship mutinies to organized revolts, resistance was constant. And in Jamaica, the Maroons, a group of escaped enslaved people, waged guerrilla warfare against British forces, securing freedom for their communities. Also, let's not forget about the Haitian Revolution, the only successful slave revolt that established a free state led by Toussaint. And these stories of defiance reveal the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be silenced. And this story of the Atlantic slave trade did not end with abolition. It left scars that persist to this day. The African continent was left fractured, its wealth drained, and its people scattered across the globe. Meanwhile, the descendants of enslaved people in the Americas continue to face systemic racism, economic disparities, and cultural erasure. And yet, the world has yet fully reckoned with this history. Calls for reparations are met with resistance, and textbooks still sanitize the truth. And one thing you should know is that understanding the real history of the Atlantic slave trade is more than just a revisiting the past. It's about dismantling the system it created. From the fight for reparations to reclaiming cultural identity, the struggles for justice continues. We owe it to those who came before us to tell their stories truthfully and completely. What school never taught us, we must teach ourselves. And before I head this video, let's bust some of the biggest myths surrounding the Atlantic slave trade that school often perpetuate. And one myth is that Africans were primitive and needed help from the Europeans. And one of the most damaging lies is that Africans were somehow uncivilized and needed European intervention. The truth, African civilization like the Great Zimbabwe, the Benin, the Timbuktu, had advanced systems of governance, architecture, and education. Timbuktu alone was home to one of the oldest universities in the world, attracting scholars from across the continent. And this narrative of civilizing savages was a tool to justify the brutality of colonization and slavery, not a reflection of the reality. And most of us are taught that enslaved Africans were simply laborers for the plantations. But this ignores the fact that they brought invaluable knowledge and skills with them. African expertise in agriculture, metallurgy, and even the architecture transformed industries in the Americas. And so, for example, enslaved Africans introduced rice cultivation techniques to the Carolinas, all Carolinas. It depends from where you come from. A skill Europeans lacked entirely. The wealth of entire colonies depended on this expertise. And another thing you should know is that the US is often the focus when we discuss slavery. But the vast majority of enslaved Africans, like let's say over 90%, were sent to the Caribbean and South America. Brazil alone imported nearly 5 million enslaved people, more than any other country. And these regions were the epicenters of sugar production, which was so profitable. And it was called the white gold. Yet, their stories are often overshadowed in mainstream narratives. So, the truth is, the Atlantic slave trade was not just a chapter in history. It was a global enterprise that reshaped the world. And understanding it fully, it's not just about acknowledging the past. It's about confronting the legacies we still live with today. So, what do you think? Does your perspective on this history feel more complete now? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going and ensure the voice of the past are never silenced. And so you guys, let me ask you a question. What one fact about the Atlantic slave trade that shocked you or moved you the most? Drop your comment. Your insights make these discussions richer. And if you know a story from your own community or a family history about this era, please share it. This personal connection keeps the history alive. So guys, as we reflect on this history, let's remember that the Atlantic slave trade was not just about oppression. It's also about the survival, the resilience, and cultural legacy of those who endured it. Their strength built nations and shaped identities across the globe. So, this legacy we must honor, not with guilt, but with action, education, and unity. And so let's keep this conversation going on. Let me know what you think. And here is your challenge for this week. Share this video with 3 people who care about history, justice, or education. Let's ensure that these untold stories reach every corner of the globe. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Together, let's uncover the untold and honor those who build the foundation of the modern world through their sacrifices. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history, culture, and the stories that shaped us all. See you in the next video. Bye bye.